capture the spirit of the ocean? Let's find out. Howdy, I'm Dina. I'm a pharmacist by day and a jewelry designer by passion. This is the first in my personal challenge series where I'm challenging myself to use every bead and finding from the June 2025 Jesse James Magical Mystery Bead Box called Southern Shores. Today we're starting with the High Tides and Good Vibes bead strand to create a stunning ocean-inspired necklace. Let's see what treasures we can make. Alright, so to get started, I have all of my round beads up here at the top all laid out in the same way that it came on the strand on. So that way I know I'm going to start off with the crystal ones, then I'm going to move to the red, the brown, the blue, the green, and then have the other set of the crystals down in the center of the necklace. Now I did take one of my crystals off. I only have one here in the center. These two down were the ones that were down here. I do have one of my crystals off. I'm going to use that for a what is that? A little charm, a little dangle down at the back end of the necklace. So that's where the little head pin comes into play. So we'll go through that at the very end. On this necklace though, I am planning on doing a simple little daisy chain type of necklace. So to start off, we need to have a stop bead on our thread. I'm going to come back at the end of this, and because we're going to go down the necklace, then we're going to come back up again just to get that second thread path through all the beads. Actually, it's probably going to be more than just two, but just for extra stability and everything. So I'm going to put the stop bead on, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to use this stop bead when we add our wire guards in at the end. So to use a stop bead, if you're not familiar with it, just go through the bead once, then go through the bead a second time. So if it is one that you're going to be using in your project, I would suggest just to go through it one more time, unless you're using an 8/0. Sometimes on 8/0s you do have to go through a second time. If you're using 11/0s, it's probably okay. If you're using it in your project, go through it at least once. If you're not going to use it in your project and you're going to take it back off, you can always use it twice and then it should be okay too. So whatever is more convenient for you. Then we're going to put a little bit of space in between the wire guard and our first little daisy. So I'm going to put a total of 5. I have 4 on my needle. I'm going to put a total of 5 seed beads on my needle. Now the spacing is going to be the 4 beads. This last bead, bead number 5, is actually going to be part of the daisy itself. So I'm going to put one of these back over there, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up my round bead, which of course is crystal on a white background. Great choices, Dina. Alright, so now we're going to start the daisy portion of it, which is, you know, if you're familiar with seed beading, this is pretty simple, and if you're not familiar with seed beading, this is something that's very easy to start off with. So we're going to put a total of, let me look at my sample, I think it was 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yep. So we're going to put a total of 9 beads around each side of our center larger bead. So we're going to pick up those 9, 7, 8, and 9. And then we're also going to need that extra bead that's going to be down here at the bottom. So we're going to, on this first side, on the right side, if you're right-handed, left side if you're left-handed, we're going to pick up a total of 10 beads. Now, like I said, we're only going to have 9 beads on either side of the round, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So we've got the 10 beads on there. We're going to go back through the center bead, skipping any of the seed beads. You don't want to go back through those just yet. We will in just a second though. So now that gets those beads off to the right hand side. I'm going to flip the bead in my hand just to make it easier, and I'm going to add 9 more seed beads. And we're only adding 9 because we already have bead number 10 down here at the bottom. So I got the 9 seed beads on, going to go back through the bead one more time. This time I'm going to go ahead and catch on to that first seed bead, or the 10th, whichever one you want to call it, on the other end of the large bead. And then now I'm going to flip it in my hands again so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is the very beginning. This is how we started off. That didn't make sense. So this is how we started off. So this is the right hand side that I first put on the first set of 10 beads. This is the left hand side that I only put on the 9 beads. Now we're going to go back through all these beads one more time, but try to make these thread paths through the beads on either end look the same. Follow along if I'm not making sense. So I'm coming out of that center bead that we're going to be shearing, and I'm going to go to the left. I'm going to go through all 9 of those beads on the left hand side. And this of course is something that you don't have to do. I just like to make things look as symmetrical as possible. It just makes me happy that way. So as you can see, this bead that we're sharing up here at the top, try to get it in focus a little bit closer to the camera. So as you can see, we have thread paths coming from this bead right here that we're sharing, and there's a thread path going this direction, and there's a thread path going in this direction off that one bead. Now you can see also this little section down here where there is a thread path coming from the left hand side going directly into the large bead, but we don't have that thread path on the right hand side yet. That's what I'm trying to do, is trying to make everything look the same and have the same amount of thread paths through everything. So down here at the bottom where we started off, we only have the 2 thread paths going from the side beads into the center bead, into the large bead. We don't have anything that's going through the 11-0 that's sitting here like this. So down here at the bottom we're going to go through the 11-0, proceed through the large bead, and then I'm going to come out just the large bead on the other end, because that is the extra thread path that we need to make on the top of the bead. So when you get all of that situated, then it should look something similar to that. So now we're going to go ahead and go through the right hand beads, side beads, to make that thread path look the same. And then when we come out over here, we are going to do the same thing that we did just a second ago and go through that 11-0 that's at the bottom of our large bead. And then in this situation, we're ready to move on to the next flower. So we're going to go straight through that the large bead, and then come out the 11-0 on the other side. And now you have 2 thread paths through your seed beads, as well as several thread paths through your large bead, and then that helps with stability when you're using thread and needle. So now let's move on to the next one, and then this is going to be the same for every other one that we end up doing. So our spacer is going to be 4 beads in between. Excuse me, 5 beads. I counted wrong. We're putting 5 beads in between. So we have 5 beads on. Then we need to add our next large bead. So our large bead combination is going to be 1 seed bead, the large bead, whatever color comes next, and I'm just, like I said, using the colors that it was strung on. And then we'll need to add our 10 beads on the right, and then 9 beads on the left, and then so on and so forth. So if you need to, you can always pause this right here, rewind, and then go back through this one more time to figure out, okay, what thread paths do I need to go through, if you want to follow along and do the same thing. If not, you can just do whatever you like as far as daisy working you prefer. Go ahead and complete all of the necklace. I'm going to put on every single bead, and like I said, I have 1 bead that's sitting aside that I'm going to use for a little charm dangle. So go ahead and complete the rest of the necklace, and then meet me back. I'll show you how to put on the wire guards, and then we'll finish off the necklace after that. Meet you back in a second. For me, it'll be several minutes. Be back in a minute. Alright, so now we are to the point where we're at the other end of the necklace. So I'm going to show you how to add the wire guard, and then we'll go back down the necklace and then add the wire guard on the other side. But it's going to be the same process as adding the wire guard here, so I'm not going to show you how to do the other side. I'll let you do that on your own. So we are to the point where we have our last of our large rounds sitting there. So we want this side of the necklace to look very similar to this side over here. So this is where you're going to add your 5 seed beads. So I have 5 more out ready to go. And then now you have your front and your end, or your 2 ends of your necklace looking the same. So let's add that wire guard. If you're not familiar with a wire guard is a horseshoe shaped item where it has openings down here at the bottom, and then it has a little channel up at the top to where either your thread or your wire would be sitting, and it helps to keep the wire and the thread from fraying and everything. So I like to use these in a lot of my projects. So to use that, we're going to go ahead and go up one of the ends of the wire guard, pull that down to your item, and then we're going to go down the other side of the wire guard, just like that. And this is not focusing. Okay, let me try to refocus and see if it'll do it. There we go. Maybe. Alright, so we're going to go down the other side of the wire guard. Now I always pinch my wire guard just ever so slightly in my fingers. That way it helps to allow the thread to go down and sit inside the channel. Now we want to put a second thread path through this wire guard. So we're going to go back through the last seed bead one more time. And then we're going to move this back down to the necklace. I got a little loose there for a second. Alright, so that is coming out. Let's see how it's coming out this direction. Alright, so let's go up the wire guard again. And before I go down on the other side of the wire guard, keep dropping it. Before I go down on the other side of the wire guard, I want to make sure that these beads are tight enough, but not like, you know, ultra tight, but tight enough against each other to where they look right. So let's see if we can try to fix this. Just in case this happens to you, I'm going to leave this in the video so you can kind of get a gauge as to how to fix it too. So I'm just putting my needle down there in that last bead, just trying to hold it as close to the other beads as I can, which this is another reason why I like to go back through my beads at least a second time whenever I'm doing a necklace, because sometimes you're going to run into a little bit of leeway right there. And sometimes it's perfectly fine to have that little bit of a gap, and then other times it really bothers people. So it's just one of those things that you want to try to do, and I'm just trying this in a different way. Yeah, I'm not able to get that bead down there in the way that I want it to. So I think, yeah, it's just being stubborn, because that's all you need to do is just kind of keep wiggling it back and forth and stuff like that to get it to fit right. So I'll show you how to do that just in case that happens to you. But if you still have that little bit of a leeway, like I said, we're going to go back down the necklace anyway and get another thread path through all the center beads that are in between the two large beads. So let's finish out the wire guard real quick. Now before I go through that second half, I'm going to pinch the end of the wire guard just a little bit. Now these are stainless steel, so they're a little bit harder to pinch, but it does work. You just have to give it a little bit of a pinch, a hard grip to it. And there, it's a little bit smaller. You can always use, I don't know if I was in frame. If I was not, I apologize. But you can always use some of your pliers too and squish that down with your pliers. But I'm going to go ahead and go back through the other end of the wire guard, pinching yet again, ever so slightly to help guide the thread into the chamber there at the top. Then we're going to proceed back through that 11-0 one more time, the first one. Well, maybe. There we go. And then now you have your wire guard on one side of your necklace. So now all you need to do is just proceed down these 5 beads and then your, or I guess that's 6 beads, and then your large bead, and then continue on through the 7 beads in between. And do that all the way down to the other end of your necklace. Then when you get to the other end, like I said in the beginning, it is the same process to add your wire guard on the other side. So go ahead and get that completed and then meet me back, and then we will do our little charm and we'll finish up the necklace. Alright, so now we're ready to make our charm. So for this part you're going to need some chain nose pliers, some round nose pliers, some sort of a cutters, and then sometimes you'll need a second pair of pliers, which I had my flat nose pliers as well, to open and close the jump rings. Alrighty, so first thing we're going to do, pick up your head pin. I'm going to add one of the seed beads, that last crystal round bead, and then another seed bead. And let those all fall to the bottom of the head pin. Now we're going to take our pliers, and at the very end of the pliers, leaving just a little bit of room in between where the pliers are at and where the seed bead's at, I'm going to bend over ever so slightly, make sure that it's not going to crack a bead or anything like that. And I think these are stainless steel, so the head pins. I just grabbed them from my stash, so they're not bending very easily. Of course they're not. Good gracious. Come on, bend. Okay, I'm going to have to hold on to it. There we go. Okay, that's almost a 90-degree bend. I think I'm... Okay, don't play with it. I'm trying not to break it. Alright, so now I'm going to measure about a centimeter, which this is how Becky measures it, and I've noticed Colleen measures this way too. So I started doing it. It makes it a little bit easier. So that is centimeter-ish. And then we're just going to use our wire cutters, the flat side going towards the item that you want to keep, and then you cut off there. Yeah, these are definitely steel. Oh, that's taking a minute. Oh, and it shot somewhere. I thought I had a hold of it. Apparently I did not. Alright, so these are definitely steel, so hopefully I don't have to redo this, because we'll see how this works. Okay, now we're going to take our round nose pliers, and we're going to attempt to put it in between the two jaws, and then make sure that you can't feel it on that side, the wire itself. And then we're going to attempt to try to round this out. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's working. Holy moly, it's really hard to turn. Yeah, these are definitely steel. Which is a good thing because my jump rings are stainless steel. And then my clasp that I'm using is a sterling silver clasp. I am running low on stainless steel clasps, so I chose to do a sterling silver one. And this is not the best loop ever, but that's essentially what you would end up doing, is something similar to that. That's definitely not the best loop ever. I'm not even going to worry about correcting it because it's stainless steel. It is hard to move. So we're just going to leave it. So that looks good enough. Alright, so let's get our necklace put together. Let's see, move my other pliers out of the way so I don't need them. And then bring our beautiful necklace into view. So let's get a jump ring opened. Put your pliers on one side of the jump ring. And put the pliers on the other side of the jump ring and then twist open, just like that. Then grab one of your ends of your necklace and then grab one end of the heart, which this one is one of those that all you have to do is push it open like that and it opens and closes. So this should fit around the base of the heart. There we go, because I'm using pretty large 7mm jump rings today. And then we're going to close this guy up. There we go. Do the same thing on the other side. And I'm attaching the clasp first, and then I'm going to attach the little charm next after I attach the clasp. And then do the same thing. Attach it to the other side of the heart. And then close that up. And this necklace is long enough that if you don't want to use a clasp, you don't have to. I just chose to do a clasp. Just because sometimes, just because the necklace is 24 inches and goes around your head, it may not go around everybody's head. So, every once in a while, I'm having a hard time with this today. Okay. Every once in a while, I put clasps on my really long necklaces. Let's try this again. There we go. Hold on to it a little bit better that way. Okay. So now we've got the necklace attached to the heart, and now we're going to attach our little charm with the wonky little loop there, but you know, hey, it works. And we're going to put it on the end of the heart. And then you can use this as the center of the necklace if you wanted to. That would be another good option. So that way you can wear it and your heart would be down here at the bottom if you wanted to do that. Or you can flip it around, use this in the back of your neck, and then you would have your 3 little crystals in the center of the necklace. So there we go. There is our finished necklace. Project number 1 complete. If you'd like to follow along with me in this and future videos using the Jessie James Magical Mystery Bead Box, go to the link that I have listed down in the description and get yourself signed up. Also, if you need more beading inspiration, I have playlists down in the description as well, so click on those and get yourself inspired. I'll see y'all in the next one, everyone. Bye now.